Bienvenue. Bienvenue. Welcome. We are back. It's Market Mondays. You know how this works, man.
Happy
Monday.
Monday.
You should be tuned in. It's been a glorious one.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a glorious one. A lot of news. A lot of things that we have talked about over the course of the past 5 years are coming to fruition. So yeah, it's playing out exactly how we thought it would, man. So
Rashad on the Eli Lilly boat in Africa. I see you, my boy.
Bonsoir. Oh yeah. Wait till you see the new adventure of EYL has taken us on.
Mm-hmm.
We went by land, by water, it's been a pretty adventurous ride.
100%. But yeah, shout out to everybody out there. Market Mondays, we back. We live. We got a lot to talk about. Myself and Troy, we currently are in Africa. We're in Guinea.
Yeah, Conakry.
The Republic of Guinea. So shout out to all the good people of Guinea. Tremendous hospitality has been shown to us thus far. So yeah, anytime that we on the continent, it's always good vibes. And this has been no short of that. So I want to say thank you to all the good people of Guinea, all the government officials that we've been able to connect with.
Show me your French that you've been learning, man.
Okay.
Yeah, mercy beaucoup at all times, man. Gotta be grateful. Gratitude is a sign of appreciation that needs to be said at all times. So yeah, thank you. Mercy beaucoup for sure. But we got a lot to talk about, man. We got a lot to talk about, and this episode we're gonna give you guys a surprise, Invest Fest, that legendary conversation that we had with Jack Dorsey. We're gonna air that on the second half of this episode. So have your pens and pads ready for that. But a lot going on in the market, as I'm sure you guys are aware of. So we're not gonna waste too much time. We're gonna get right into it. We do have an episode of Blackout that's coming out at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people enjoyed the episode that we had last week. That was covered a lot of topics. So this week, we got Trump's invasion of Chicago. We got a lot to talk about again.
Let alone the things that we have uncovered, unpacked, and been educated on here. The history buff that he is, y'all in for a treat, because I know you're gonna pack that into the episode, man. We've seen a lot and learned a lot in the course of the past 4 days, man. Yeah. So make sure y'all got your pen and pad out for that.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna talk about it. And then Thursday at 6 o'clock, staying on the Africa theme, we got the conversation that we did a while ago in Rwanda with the good brother Luau Dane. Yeah, and it's
gonna be good.
And the president of the BAL, the African Basketball League, which is the NBA's African branch. We spoke to them about the BAL, about Africa, about sports on the continent. A lot of great conversation. So tune in at 6 o'clock, international conversation.
I love it.
Yes, sir. And then Ian, any announcements?
Yes, if you want to get rich from the market, go to ianinvest.com. If you want to know where to get in, where to get out. Prices are in Kajabi for the month of October. So I think I added 4 additional stocks as well. 3 different prices, load to boat price, swing trade price, and quick entry. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. Stock Club call will be this Sunday at 5 p.m. Central again. Replay from yesterday's call will be out Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central, and tune into Blackout. We are going back into that, not conspiratorial because it's been confirmed, but it was a lot of pushback on the AirPod conversation. Listen, you can push back all you want to. The data is clear. Yeah. The evidence is clear. I've had shout out to all the ear, nose, throat specialists that reached out. So thank you for bringing awareness to this topic. So tune in to Blackout. And I love y'all. Let's have an amazing show.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you something about these AirPods though. Y'all probably seen me out here wearing the AirPods even after the episode. That translation game is definitely a game changer. Being able to bridge the language barrier with the everyday person is a game changer. So we're in meetings, I'm able to understand what they're saying. I'm able to transcribe in real time and have real live feedback. So that is a game changer. So I was watching the episode, obviously. But they got something there, and this is just the first iteration of it. So I'm interested to see how far they go with it.
The AirPod thing went viral twice actually, because on Ian's page, Ian posted it originally, and it got 17,000 shares. It got shared. I think it got shared like 17,000 times.
Shout out to the team
from Ian's
Make
page.
it easier to send that invoice. Ooh,
and then on the Earn Your Leisure page, we posted it, and how many times did it get shared on that page? And that page got shared 53,000 times.
Gang, let me borrow some followers.
Man, it's been shared a lot. So you don't have any concerns about wearing AirPods?
I have concerns. I'm just saying from
risk to reward ratio.
Yo, and the thing is, like, you've witnessed it in firsthand, like sitting in a meeting, being able to understand French, being able to respond in English, and then reading French and reading back. I'm not missing anything. Like, it is transcribing to a T. It is super effective in that way. Obviously, if we're watching entertainment, that's one thing. But you ever watch the UN when, they put headphones in?
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, they're wired. But, I mean, that's where the technology comes from, right? You have all these countries coming to speak in front of the world stage, different languages every other hour. And so that's how that translation works. So you can see now this has happened to the everyday folk. I was sitting down with a woman from Burkina Faso, and she was amazed. She couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe I understood what she was saying, her story. She said that we would have sat here for probably an hour and not had any conversation, let alone have one about her life story, her business, her children, how she's an entrepreneur. It's incredible. So there is no excuse now. Like, you can bridge that gap of language, which has intentionally been done on the continent. We spoke about this plenty of times. If you look at the history of Africa and you look who's colonized and where they've colonized, it's English, it's French, right? These languages, even in tribes, they've taken languages from people, and there was no way to communicate.
Yeah,
that time is coming to an end, and hopefully technology can eradicate that.
Tim Cook, wired version, please. I'm not gonna lie, I got tempted to buy them, but after the episode, I can't be a damn hypocrite and go buy the AirPod 3s. But I may just put my Meta glasses on the table and let it do the same thing.
That's the one thing I wish I would have brought. I forgot those. I wish I would have brought the Meta glasses. Yeah. But I did use the spatial one at the 17, so I'll put some videos up so people can see what that looks like.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Oh, we gotta do our disclaimer. So you know how this works, man. Do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment decision based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to use for the purpose of making an investment decision, or otherwise continue to do the research, share the research. Shout out to all my people in EYLU that pulled up to our class on Thursday. It was a crazy class. We went a little overtime. Yo, Ian, I'm waiting for the invite, man. I want to come to a stock up call.
Oh.
Can I come to one in October?
No, we're gonna make that happen for sure.
Bet. Let's do it.
Tim Cook about to killing off the passport bros, so I ain't gonna hold you. The number of people who message me like, "Yo, you over in Mexico right now? You had an AirPod?" Nope, I'm sticking true. But the passport bros,
yeah, it's good for a one-on-one conversation. If there's many people, then it picks up everybody talking. But if you're like directly talking to somebody, it works really well.
At all times. All right, let's get into it. Let's not even waste any time. Let's get right to what's really been trending. We'll start with gold.
Yep.
Gold's at nearly an all-time high, and it's been reaching high. I saw some stat the other day where gold has actually outperformed the NASDAQ over the last year to date. And once again, we talked about gold before the election. When Mike Novogratz, that was one of his things that he was real big on before the election. He was just saying that he thought that gold and Bitcoin were the two assets to hold because of the volatility in the government. And then with the government shutdown, we're going to talk about it a little later as far as Bitcoin, breaking new levels. But gold also, as far as has been doing well for a very long period of time. And that's a safe haven for people that don't believe in central currencies. So gold, is this something that's going to continue to go up over the course of time?
Absolutely. You have two types of investors. You have risk-on investors, which are pro-AI, pro-crypto, pro-technology, and then you have pro-hedge investors. And in this case, both are right. We're going to talk later if this era is mirroring 1999 and 2000. But the thing that's really important is when you own asset classes, you want them to hedge against each other. Gold is the ultimate hedge that has ended up outperforming a lot of classes, as you just mentioned. And I don't see this pulling back anytime soon. I know it's outside of a normal range for, if you look at a multi-quarter range, but I think possibly by end of year, we could even be at 391.92 on gold. There is inherent risks in the market that people are talking about. I know IWM is up. I know the Nikkei was up because of the prime minister being elected or selected. But I think too many people have risk on and no hedge. So if the market does tank, I think gold will still continue to climb. One of the best investments and best assets of all time, if you look at it from since inception, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. So yes, gold will continue to climb higher.
I agree with you. I'll take the other position in a standpoint of what would cause it to have a retracement, right? Especially with government uncertainty. We're not going to, like, there was supposed to be a jobs report last week. We didn't get it. Fed policy, we're not getting it since there's a lockdown. Is there something, I don't even know if it's in the near future, but at some point that would cause a sharp retracement in the
for
price
gold?
of gold? Yeah.
So in 2010 through 15, it was printing of money, quantitative easing, and that money flowing around. So unless they print it the way they did in 2008, 2009, and that money circulates through, that would be the only thing to take some of the capital off. Because now if interest rates go to zero, it's risk on for every asset. Meme stocks, crypto, tech, Russell 2000, Russell 1000, S&P 400. It's all bets on, all money in. Shot the nip, rest in peace. But unless we have that kind of money flowing worldwide, there's no reason to take a short against gold. Because some people are starting to say, well, gold is overvalued, hitting certain levels on RSI. But it's like, if you don't know the macroeconomic environment, I don't think the United States or even China is in a position to print money how they did in 08, 09, or 2020. As a result, and for that reason, I'll stay long on gold.
Yeah, I mean, we printed the money printing definitely during COVID was even higher than that, and so now, you know, I mean, I'm with you, bro. I think it still appreciates. I just wonder if there is something, like, is it a Fed policy that changes? Obviously, we know if interest rates, the expectation is that interest rates will continue to fall. I don't think we'll get to zero anytime soon, or
no,
if we ever will. Just that piece is like, yes, this is a hedge that we should be in. Just a thought, though.
Going back to Ray Dalio's conversation, though, shout out to Ray. You want an all-weather portfolio. I don't agree with the assessment of, because the public all-weather portfolio versus what is done privately at that firm is different. But gold is a good cornerstone investment for sure. But I don't think unless interest rates go back to 1% or 0% and money is printed, that gold is going to fall apart. And once again, if Novogratz is bold enough and loving enough to tell you this is what's going to happen and this is what I'm investing in, why not just listen to what he's saying? He's not just talking his book. He's giving you the playbook ahead of time. Just follow to what he's saying as well.
Yeah, I think the golden rule is we follow the money. Like, the tea leaves are left for you.
Follow the. I think
we have a tough time in this space when you're learning and you're learning things on your own, and you kind of like, well, I should follow it, but you go against your intuition. Sometimes it's painted for you. It's right in front of you. You just got to follow the path
and stop being hard-headed.
Yeah. I will be a disciplined investor.
Thank you.
Put yes in chat.
Or you deserve to be broke. You pick. You don't even need a book. You deserve to be broke if you don't listen.
You deserve it.
Up to you.
That's a fact at all times.
Mhm.
And gold, we in one of the major hubs of gold right now, as far as Guinea, and a lot of people were not even familiar with the country, never heard of the country before. But the country is a population of 12 million people, so it's a relatively small country. But the UAE, so they have a flight. What's the airline? Emirates,
Emirates. Yep.
and it flies 2 times a week from here to the UAE.
Mm.
And the plane is a cargo plane that's loaded with gold, and two trips every single week full of gold
Mm. To Dubai or UAE?
to Dubai. To Dubai.
Think about that.
Every twice a week, every week.
The real transfer fee.
And that's the gold that they can account for.
Yep.
There are
Import
other
export.
minerals- There are other minerals that they are shipping that might contain gold inside of it, just
Mhm.
because of the refining process that hasn't been online yet. There might be gold that's going through other minerals as well.
Mm.
It's
And
interesting, man.
and for commodities, a good exercise is to look at like a 50-year historical chart just to see what the overall trend is. There's a reason why that plane is going in and out, and we have such a robust storage of it at Fort Knox. So hold for the long term. 50-year chart though on commodities, it will tell you the real tale.
100 flights of gold a year
100 flights. Oh yeah. Ooh.
for the year, right? You figure twice a week.
Yeah.
That's one country. One.
And then that's where I was talking to Alvin. He was like, if they doing that, then Ghana got to have at least 5, because he said Ghana has way more gold than this country has. That's why they call it the Gold Coast.
Mhm.
They call it the Gold Coast for a reason.
So much I want to say, but I don't want to go into my Tucker Carlson Candace Owens bag. The crazy part is when you just tell the truth, it's way better than any fiction.
That's a fact.
It feels unbelievable, but it's happening like right in front of our eyes.
And how long has it been happening?
A long time.
See, just calculate the cost of fuel for those flights and what kind of return matrix they're looking to get off that. Interesting. I mean, gold GOD was at 52 in 07. It said 360, 350 now. And then if we hit a rut in 27 and 28, gold probably, oh my God, GOD will be in the 550 range. So interesting, to say the least.
To say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into the big story of today, which is AMD.
Yes,
So AMD went up 27% on the morning, fueled by news that OpenAI partnership 25%, and that
it shot up 35%, 10% stake,
10% stake for OpenAI. And yeah, that led to a frenzy in the stock market. Anybody that had AMD options, obviously, look at their portfolio. I texted Dave Shans today. He was like, damn, that's crazy. Because obviously, if you watch Market Mondays, you saw that Dave Shans invested in the AMD option a few months ago. So I know that's something that we posted it actually on Instagram. That was one of your stock picks, Troy, at the beginning of the year or last year. You thought AMD. So yeah, talk about AMD.
Yeah, it kind of in the clip was encompassed where we were talking about NVIDIA being obviously the leader of the space when it comes to GPUs and who that number 2 player was going to be. And sometimes in business, it's okay to be number 2. And it was for this reason. When we think about NVIDIA, every time we talk about it, we're talking about another Mag 7 company that is acquiring your chips. Because of the price point, it kind of alienates some of the audience. And so when Meta buys millions of chips for its data centers, when Amazon is buying, when Microsoft is buying, obviously through OpenAI, you're talking about millions and millions. I think one of the key pieces of what was said from the president of OpenAI, he said This is so core to our mission. If we really want to be able to scale to reach all of humanity, this is what we have to do in regards to the partnership. And so when he says all of humanity, he's no longer talking about just corporate accounts and big Max 7 companies. He's saying we need to have enough GPUs to make sure that everyone on the planet can use our service. Now, if you just look at the cap table of how much that would cost, and we'll break down how this is a circular economy. This is really a circular economy.
Can we use the real word later? Oh, no.
We can use the word circular economy because that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is. This is, hey, we have infrastructure, right? Oracle. We have connectivity, Broadcom. We have capital from NVIDIA. Right? And the more we make and the more demand, all those things will start working together. Now we need to make sure that we have enough bandwidth. We need to have enough hardware so that everyone can use it. So I think, what do they have? Like over 800 million users now for ChatGPT?
Yeah.
You're approaching the billion mark. That's only going to increase with the amount of people that are actually becoming more familiar with it. We talk about we use it every day. There's still people who don't have the app downloaded. That's going to change in the next 2 to 3 years. So the demand is going to be even higher. So they need to have more GPUs at a price point that can be sustainable for their growth, which is why the 10% stake inside of AMD, the number 2 player, makes a lot of sense for them. But what they actually did was a warrant. So if you're not familiar with what a warrant is, it's like an option in a sense, right? Like they have the right, not the obligation, to buy or own the shares of AMD at a certain price point. They didn't disclose it yet, but that's what this is, and it makes perfect sense. So NVIDIA is a partner. AMD is now under their ownership, 10% stake. This is just going to keep going in a cycle. This is why you got to follow and track the money, because it'll lead you right to it. Everything's pretty evident.
Yeah, I know we've been talking a lot about circular investments and circular deals, but I want to frame it, Troy, don't worry, as an indestructible technological moat. So AMD has been a pick and stock club for 6 years. NVIDIA took the helm. OpenAI, like, don't you love when the babies get along and just bring the technological and financial vibe to you? This partnership ensures the safety of that sector, being AI, and the safety of OpenAI as they start to become public. NVIDIA, of course, took a different route. They paid OpenAI. AMD issued a warrant, so that way you're covered on both ends. That's even a hedge in itself. And then, like you said, with Oracle being in that infrastructure, it sets them up to be the leader, not only in AI, but potentially in quantum, having all those assets in line. The thing that I do like about OpenAI, it reminds me, when he said that, it reminds me of Bill Gates. I want a PC in every home in the world. I think OpenAI has a very good chance to touch or have a touch point to every user on Earth. And they did an amazing job with the rollout of Sora as well. So on every front, enterprise, eventually government, consumer, they're doing incredibly well. Job well done to AMD, and it helps that Lisa and Jensen are cousins. You can't leave your cousin out, one of your favorite cousins out of the deal structure. So this is to me a technological moat that will not be destructed anytime soon.
Yeah, and we had an interesting call or class the other week when we talked about energy, and OpenAI is going to deploy 6 gigawatts of AMD's GPUs. Like we're talking about, that's the size that could power like Los Angeles. That's much as energy is going to need. I want to break this down because I wrote it. I was like, I got to explain this, but I got to write it down. So here's how this. We call this circular economy, Ian. This moat. We'll say moat, right?
We'll say moat for right. Yep.
We'll say moat. So NVIDIA last week, OpenAI announced that partnership with NVIDIA, and it was big news. We saw it was $100 billion. So NVIDIA, and we broke that down. If they help build those data centers, right, which a 1 gigawatt data center could cost up to $50 billion to get online. 25 billion to 30 billion of that is going to go just to the GPUs, obviously through the infrastructure. So NVIDIA is helping provide hardware, and they're providing capital for them to get that infrastructure up. AMD now comes on, right? they're providing hardware, right? So you got hardware with NVIDIA, hardware with AMD, and then you got Broadcom stepping in as a supplier for interconnected systems, right? We talked about that's the role that they play, and they're huge in that. Obviously, they have GPUs as well, but interconnected systems is what they'll do. And then you got Oracle with Stargate that's going to provide data center operations and cloud leasing. Don't forget about the cloud, right? When we talked about those servers, we talked about AWS, we talked about Google, we talked about Azure with Microsoft. Oracle's going to provide that. So here's how this works. The better OpenAI does, the more it consumes infrastructure. The more infrastructure is built, the more demand can scale. The more hardware capacity, the more advanced AI becomes, creating more demand in turn. Circular is the word. Also, but on another lesson, this is how generational wealth looks and should work. I invest into your business, you invest into mine. Long-term partnership. Let's build a moat that cannot be advanced or encroached upon, and make sure we protect each other at all costs. Like that aspect of it, with Jensen and Lisa being family, Sam coming into the tech family, Larry Ellison, if you know about his lineage and how he's helping his sons, this is a master class in how to do long-term partnerships and a great onboarding for OpenAI for when the market potentially tanks in 27 and 28 for them to come on board and probably be. Is OpenAI the greatest startup in American history? It's crazy you said that, because I was just going to say that it has now passed SpaceX to have the largest valuation of any private company in history.
This rollout is I haven't seen nothing as good since they rolled out 50 Cent in the 8 Mile soundtrack.
This is better.
This is amazing, yo.
The interesting thing is when they did the NVIDIA the NVIDIA announcement last week, a part of the interview, Sam Altman is saying that, hey, we still have a bunch of announcements still to come this year. That was just last week.
Yep.
Last Friday, the valuation came out at 500. Now that you add this 10% stake in AMD, we're going way past 500 billion now.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
So at this point, I'm thinking he's in the running for maybe like person of the year at this point with the amount of deals that he's done.
For sure. And the hardware hadn't even dropped yet.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
For sure. We got some insight on AMD earlier too, and before last year, from a friend of ours too. So
perhaps
it's good that we said it on Market Mondays.
Okay. Yeah, we said
it. It's helpful to know what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, but that's part of it, is doing the research too. So even when a friend of ours said it, it was, for me, it felt like, oh, it's confirmation. To the research that it was done, right? Like we're on the right path. Even now, I still get texts from people in the AI space like, yo, bro, you're spot on. Like you're spot on. So now it's even more conviction when we talk to the audience here, because not only are we saying it, like that's why I said Market Mondays, and I'm not just saying because I'm here. It has to be one of the greatest shows for investment ever, because the people that are watching it in these spaces are confirming it and saying, you know what? In fact, what you're saying is right. Here's some other things to look for.
Yep. AI, banking, crypto, all sides of tech, being at NVIDIA. But yeah, 3-year price AMD 366.79, and 3-year price for NVIDIA 305.44.
Yes, sir. All right. Shout out to Dave Shans too once again.
Lunch on you when we in Atlanta,
got
bro.
in on that
For
call.
sure.
So, man, you guys, EY University, the options class, choice options class, vitally important. If you're in EY University, take advantage of that, because those options been going crazy. Obviously, if you see the market is at an all-time high, you know that the options are going to be pretty well positioned. So, yeah, a lot of those options have gone crazy over the last couple of months.
It's true. We saw Micron hit 200 today. I mean, it's been a hell of a year, man. It's been a hell of a year.
Okay. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Before I forget, Detroit, Michigan, we will be in your area October 31st. Halloween
happened.
10 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock on the wake up. Wayne State University.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we in your area.
Hoops and Culture event.
That's
we will
fire.
be there. We're gonna be doing. I think we're gonna be doing book signing.
Yep.
Book signing. You deserve to be rich. So
yeah, I think we're gonna speak for a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, Wayne State University. 10 October 31st. Man, shout out to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the great state of Michigan, man. Always show us a love every time we go out there. Let's talk about the next biggest story, which is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, if you've been watching, has been on a tear. It's been on a tear, obviously, since Donald Trump got elected, but really, over the last couple of days with the government shutdown, that's helped it out a lot as well. And we see Bitcoin passing all-time highs and reaching $125,000, a key psychological mark that it had failed to break in the past. And JP Morgan, I say that they actually put a report that is actually undervalued, and real price should be $160,000. So Bitcoin thrives as people lose confidence in central governments and people lose confidence in central currencies. And government shutdown doesn't help to give confidence in either one of those. So you see that as inflation is rising, as government spending continues to go up, as government debt continues to increase, as government instability continues to increase, Bitcoin's price continues to go up. That's helpful for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space in general. But we're talking about Bitcoin right now. So Bitcoin, I thought that Bitcoin was going to have a good year. It was actually my stock of the year.
Yeah, it definitely was. That a MicroStrategy.
All-time high. Yeah, MicroStrategy's climbing back too. So okay, now Bitcoin's back on everybody's, talking board.
Shame on them if it left it.
It shouldn't have left.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the crypto enthusiasts thought that Bitcoin was gonna fall back. That was a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of Instagram pages as far as like resistance levels. I saw everything from resistance levels to trends to timeline of traditional. It's all kind. They came up with all kinds of different theories, but a lot of people felt like it was going to fall back into a lower 100 range and even potentially go lower than 100,
to 80,
which could still, but right now it's done the opposite of that. It's actually moved forward, not backwards. So Bitcoin, for all the Bitcoin enthusiasts, all the Bitcoin maxi, and we're going to talk to them with the biggest Bitcoin maxi in a little bit. But what's the deal with Bitcoin?
Number one, I said it on the show. Everyone who was calling for it to go to 85 or 80,000, it was not going to happen. There's a bunch of macro factors, like you said, government instability. Debt is at the highest that it's ever been in consumer and enterprise levels. Debt to GDP is high. Warren Buffett indicators at 200%. The value of the dollar, which has fallen so much this year. This is like, and everyone is having uncertainty in the employment market. It's the one asset that you can look at as a token, no pun intended, token of safety to get high returns in an incredibly pessimistic marketplace. And someone asked me this past weekend, BlackRock has an ETF and Part Tudor Jones parked a lot of money into the ETF, and why hasn't Vanguard done the same? The prices went up so much that even now Vanguard, I don't know if it's public, I think so. Vanguard is coming out with an ETF at either end of this year or top of next year because they don't want to miss out on servicing their clients properly and then potentially losing them to BlackRock. So this trend is not going away. I think the next target that we should hit is 130, 331 to the upside, and then probably by January or March of next year, we should be at 154, 516. But when the banks, institutions, governments, fund of funds are in an asset, now's not the time to short it. And you can argue that Bitcoin and AI are the only two things that are keeping the market up. So why are you shorting the asset that is driving the market higher? And I'm gonna be honest, respectfully, humbly. I know y'all out the country. I just came from back out of the country, so I'm in peaceful vibes. Everyone doesn't have the same technicals. I'm gonna toot my horn. I wanted the greatest ever to touch a chart. So if I'm telling you it's not, then this is Mike Novogratz. He told y'all 2020. Yo, you as a retail investor, you have hedge fund levels. We're nowhere near close going back to 85. If so, I'll be one of the first to call it. It's not going to happen anytime soon. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. And hell of a return from 20,000 when I called him. Everybody said, we're going to go there. Shouts Chris Johnson, gang. But Bitcoin probably won't slow down for the next 2 to 3 months for sure, and stop shorting the assets that governments, institutions have their balance sheet tied to.
Yeah, I would say just be careful of there. Because I feel like we've had these conversations. I think you had it at 140. I had it at like 137 by the end of the year when we had a prediction of where we saw it going. If you study, even if you study from a technical level, great. But like you said, be careful of they and where you get your information from. Just studying the halving cycle of Bitcoin and what it does the year before it halves, right, and the year after it halves. You can see that this wouldn't be the year, even if you thought there would be a pullback that would be substantial. It wouldn't be in this year, which is the year after having, because it had last year in 2024. But all those factors that Shadi mentioned, all the factors that you're mentioning, is the reason why this is an asset class that you have to have, right? Like at this point, there isn't a disbelief that, hey, we're dropping that down to 30,000, 40,000. When you look at the institutional investment that has been put in it, we just read yesterday from JP Morgan. I'm like, JP Morgan? This is now your stance after all this time? This is now your stance? The ETFs that are coming online that have exposure to not just Bitcoin, but Ethereum. I actually just bought some shares in an ETF. Shout out to our investment team in EYLU. Austin, he's been on here before. Just a genius when it comes to it. We're looking at an unprecedented investment. Now, a lot of times we think, obviously, the U.S. economy, but from a global scale, right? Like this is the one asset class that everybody has access to. Most people can't trade U.S. equities, right? Because obviously, if you're from a different country, it becomes extremely difficult. I remember talking to our guys in Canada, like, yo, how y'all doing these options? How does this work? I'm like, you have a brokerage account? They were like, wait, how does that even work? And so when you think about that, what is the asset class that they can invest in from anywhere?
Yeah. And just to be very honest, long-term assets are not meant to be shorted. Like, I love the Big Short. Shout to Steve Eastman. Shout to Michael Burry. But that was a once in a lifetime trade. You would make a lot more money just holding things for the long period of time, 5 years, 10 years, opposed to looking to short it. Now's not the time. And then a key term, institutional adoption cycles. Even when it was at 65, I said it was going to 20. There was probably 60% less institutional involvement at that time versus what's there now. The final Infinity Stone is really just the Vatican investing into it. You have everybody else. You have Van Eck, you got Piper, you got BlackRock, Vanguard's coming on board. Now is not the time to say, well, I'm going to short Rome's the last Infinity Stone. It's
can we stop trolling? Can we just stop the trolling when it comes to like AMD runs up to a number? All right, time to short it. I'm like, can we?
It doesn't
just saying shit.
It doesn't work that way because what you're saying is my $50,000 or $100,000 into the short is going to overpower the 200 or 300 billion that hedge funds have to go long on this. And you're also battling algos, not just the ones on TradingView, but the ones that BlackRock have with Aladdin.
And you don't have the time, like the amount of time that you're going to put into these shorts. Like it just doesn't. Good luck though. Good luck.
Okay, well, let's talk about, at some point in time, what goes up must come down. That's Newton's rule of gravity. And it applies to stock investing as well. So Warren Buffett indicated just past 200%. And that's the biggest red flag for overvaluation. Is it the biggest red flag of overvaluation since 2000? Which, if you're not familiar with Warren Buffett's indicator, pretty much it's saying when stocks are too high.
Yeah.
So it's overvalued. as far as what the realistic price should be for a stock, which I mean isn't surprising because stocks at an all-time high right now. So that's not really surprising that would read that way. But it's also saying that okay, at some point in time, this thing is going to pull back. So what do we make of the Buffett indicator saying that this is a very, very overpriced stock market right now?
I do agree. I do think there will come a time. So we're in year 1 of Trump being in office. Maybe around top of year 3, we will see a little like a pullback, and then the AI trade, this version of it, will start to fizzle out. That's why the onboarding of OpenAI is really important to keep the market stable as they introduce the second phase. The gentleman from BlackRock talked about it on here a few weeks ago, to introduce the second phase of the AI wave. Are stocks incredibly overvalued? Some. I was saying this on Stock Club call yesterday, though. There's a fear of that this is mirroring 99 and 2000. The stocks that are quote unquote overvalued, Nvidia, AMD, you can even argue Palantir, although they're having some issues, Microsoft, are probably 5 or 6 times better than the companies in 1999 and 2000. This version of Microsoft probably is better than 25 companies in 2000. Cisco, that version of Alphabet, Washington Mutual, Bank of America, Citigroup, way better run, more cash on hand. So is there an overvaluation? Yes. Has it been driven up by AI? Yes. But are the companies exceptional? Yes. Are we going to have a 30% crash in the next year? I don't think so. And there is more money lost waiting for an aggressive crash or pullback like you had in the Big Short than you will have if you just held for the long time. My last point is it's okay to understand to wait for a crash. And I was saying this on Stock Club call yesterday, but then when moments like April happen, if you're not constantly putting money into the market, you're going to miss the crash anyway. Everyone in April, I know like probably 200 people in April who are like, well, I'm waiting for it to go further down in the market. I'm like, no, now's the time to buy. I went on air and said it at Good Day New York. Shout out to them. And then people waited and they're like, what's the next move? April's over with. Now we're in October now. Record gains. So waiting for a crash is good, but the habit of putting money into the market consistently on a monthly or quarterly is way more important. I think this is a little bit overhyped for the companies that I've talked about, for sure.
I don't want to say he's wrong, but this is unprecedented times. And when we think of the term bubble, right, especially when they use 99 a lot, right, when we're talking about the dot-com bubble, we're talking about evaluated companies that couldn't really meet the expectation of what they were being valued at. The big difference here is that when we look at earnings growth from quarter to quarter,
insane,
like Max, they're actually earning money.
I haven't seen anything like this in my lifetime. The amount of money that they're making,
it's tough to justify it as a bubble, especially the AI sector, which is pretty much dominated and carried the market. When we talk to the gentleman at BlackRock, when he says that we're in the early innings of this, because earnings are matching the valuation, so valuations are going higher. Will there be a pullback? For sure, there'll be a pullback.
For sure.
Yes, of course, everything doesn't run hot forever, and at some point, investors are going to want to get better prices to own these equities at, and so there will be a pullback. But do we see earnings having a complete reset in the next couple of years? It's tough for me to see when a company like Nvidia has the market share that they have, has a 51% profit margin. I'm looking at their spend. I'm looking at the CapEx spend, and we talked about it last week, of all these Mag 7 companies. They're not slowing down on the spend. I'm having a tough time with the word bubble when it comes to this moment.
I got you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a bubble? Okay, I want to be very clear. If you're not in that tech consortium of the elite, Nvidia, OpenAI, Anduril, Palantir, Tesla, AMD, you're fucked.
In the
Salesforce,
ecosystem of AI, you saying?
Salesforce, even Intel. Has OpenAI done a partnership with Intel yet? That's telling. Like, once again, stop trolling. You can say whatever you want to because that's going up because that's Trump's investment.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, not many partnerships are coming through. And that will have a reduction. Even like if you look at, not like Salesforce, like Benny off a lot. Went from 365 to 238 and no prospects of being the darling that it used to be. So if you are outside of that tech all-star list, that AI all-star list, it's going to be tough for you in 2 years. For sure. I don't want to cast any aspersions against individual companies because I don't, but it's going to be very tough for you. So is it a bubble if you're outside of that circle? But even the ones that are in the circle are once in a lifetime, generational, exceptional CEOs, companies, management, and talent at those institutions. One of a kind.
So the CEO of Goldman Sachs warns of an AI drawdown. So is that just to be disregarded?
I think he's spot on for the ones that are non-exceptional. And the bigger lesson I want to stress for the next, Magic said 3 years, right? If you're not incredibly exceptional, one of one, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have an incredibly hard time delivering high returns. Like, okay, take a company, and I really like Moynihan as a CEO at Bank of America. Would you invest in Bank of America over Coinbase or Galaxy or Robinhood at this time?
No,
I wouldn't. It's tough.
No.
Will Bank of America be okay? Of course, because it's a pillar of American banking. Certain agreements happened in that last kerfuffle and drop in 2008, 2009. There'll be a beacon of safety for sure, but they're not exceptional. So they're going to have a tougher time. In the next 3 years, you as an entrepreneur and investor have to be exceptional and invest in things that are incredibly exceptional, or you're going to see a decay in your returns and decay in your money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
So here's my issue with this. And this is why I say just follow the money, right? Because literally today, and this you can look this up, the Goldman Sachs, right, their analysts actually raised the price target on the leader of the AI revolution, which is, we agree, is NVIDIA. So their analyst, James Schneider, pointed that NVIDIA's investments and partnerships with companies such as OpenAI are a driver for future gains. While these partnerships could introduce some degree of uncertainty, the analyst is optimistic that NVIDIA's outperformance in other verticals could offset any potential risk. They've actually raised the price target to 210. So if you're looking at NVIDIA now, I think it's trading at around 184, 185. That's like 20% gain.
Yeah, I just gave my 3-year price at 305.44.
So now think about it. Your CEO is saying one thing, but the people that are actually tracking the technicals and following and moving the money, they're saying a completely other thing.
I think
we've seen this before, right? With JP Morgan.
I think the rule of thumb is everything outside of that tech AI inner circle, though. I don't want to say any names, but certain tech companies, if they're not in good standing with the administration and they're not on board with NVIDIA, and if they were not on that conference board, that keynote that Jensen gave, I'm not pro it.
Right. So, and I agree with you. I don't know if we'll see the past 5 years of NVIDIA is something that we've never seen. We probably won't see it again. So at some point it may slow down, but there'll be another company, right? So, and I know there's been some talk about Gronk, not the AI that Elon actually owns, Gronk, which is spelled GROQ, which is another semi that is a private company now that eventually, they look like they can be a competitor inside this space. There'll be another or there'll be another GPU that will help launch another wave of AI. So the AI downturn from the CEO and listening to what their professionals are saying at the firm, two different things, man. There will be a pullback for sure, and we need it. Downturn, collapse.
Okay. Downturn and pullback are the same as not the same as crash. Is there a bubble outside of the non-exceptional companies? For sure. I just highlighted all the exceptional ones. As NVIDIA has been picked for damn near half a decade.
I'm with you. Yeah. I'm 100% with you.
I want to be clear on that.
I think like we just got to figure out who are inside that. We call it that ecosystem. Like we just talked about that circular economy.
Yeah.
There are other companies that are part of that circular economy that are going to benefit. And yes, some are going to fall off, and some their valuations have been raised because they feel like they could be a part of it. Mm-hmm. But listen to the partnerships and follow the money.
All right. Well, let's get into this conversation with Jack Dorsey from InvestFest Market Mondays Live. Let's get it.
I love it. I tell you what.
Well, damn.
Tell you what. It looked like we did it again. Man. This is crazy.
Hey, Shadi, there was some talk about, I wonder what the numbers are going to look like for InvestFest this year.
A lot.
A whole lot.
I don't want to waste too much time, man. If Ian made you money, put yes in chat. Say hell yeah.
Let's get this out the way.
Market Mondays, if you watch Market Mondays. Anybody watch Market Mondays? Market Mondays, oh man, it's this. Now look, put the light like that. I like the light like that. I need to see this.
I gotta see all the way to the back.
See that, man.
Yeah. Shout out to my man in the orange shirt right there.
The world actually needs to see this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure we get the footage of this. All right, we ain't gonna waste too much time. We have somebody that's very, very, very important. So we could do all the other stuff later on, but let's get straight to the conversation. Can we?
Let's do this, man. I'm excited.
What's it? All right. So, man, very rare moment in time. Take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Take your seats. Get comfortable. Very rare moment in time. We have one of the greatest entrepreneurs, one of the greatest tech innovators, one of the most brilliant people of our time. Not just from a monetary standpoint as far as being a billionaire, but somebody that really revolutionized when you're talking about Cash App, when you're talking about Twitter, when you're talking about Block, when you're talking about Bitcoin. Man, this is
pretty impressive list.
It's one of the ones. So, okay, we're gonna introduce Jack Dorsey.
Let's bring Jack Dorsey to the stage, y'all.
Jack, how you doing, Jack?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So awesome. you can't see the crowd, but it's about 15,000 people here, and they're all very excited. Make some noise. So they're very excited to have you. So first and foremost, we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to have this conversation. We greatly appreciate it.
No, thank you all. I'm sorry I couldn't make it in person. Next time I will.
So let's start out with this. You know, for people that may not be familiar, I mean, they probably heard of Square, but let's talk about Block, right? Like, what is Block's mission? Why the name change? What is Block's mission statement as far as 2025?
It's a little bit nerdy, the name change. Like we started our company as Square, and we wanted something that represented. That was a common object that got out of the way. Like we didn't want our logo, we didn't want our brand to be the thing. We wanted our company to be something that other businesses could put their business on top of. So we wanted something that was nondescript and kind of boring as our brand, which was Square. And we were going for about 2 years, and then we created Cash App. And over time, we realized like both of these business units are going to be large, and they deserve their own identity. And we need a new name to capture both of them. And we just made the Square into a block, and that's it. But it also represents how we started. We were building credit card processing for merchants in the neighborhood. And when you think of a block, you think of like the local restaurant, the local barber, the local salon, and it just felt really good. It also was a reference to Bitcoin and blockchain and just everything that we had to do. And again, it was a very simple, nondescript, kind of boring object that got out of the way from our customers so that we could really focus all the energy on them.
Appreciate you, Jack. So we got a little tech check here. It's interesting.
And this is in real time.
It's real time.
So Jack is frozen, but you can still hear him. That lets you know how much we value you, because we could have pre-recorded this, but it wouldn't have been the same. So this is in real time information. We appreciate him just taking time out of his schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
That might be my network. I apologize for that. We'll try to make it faster.
Yeah, Jack, it's a very unique time when we get to talk to somebody of your caliber. Everybody in here has heard the topic of the year, and it's going to be the topic of the future, that being AI. I wonder where you look at AI today and where it's going in the future. How can entrepreneurs, plenty of entrepreneurs in this room right now, how can they use it to their advantage when we have machines that are going to be leading, building, and perhaps replacing some of the careers that we know of today?
It's an incredible question, and I think a lot of people see AI and they shut down a bit. And the way I would think about it is this is a brand new tool that can help you get more input. You don't have to see it as something that just like replaces your output. You can see it as a way to help you get and see many, many more things that you can look at and that you can experiment with and you can build. And what that enables you to do is make your output better. So you don't have to see it as something that diminishes you. You can see it as a new floor to stand upon. It's a new tool that just gives you this incredible collective intelligence that not only allows you to ask it things that you're curious about, but it also allows you to build. And for those of you who haven't tried building with it yet, I would definitely encourage you. We have a product called Goose. It's called codename Goose. You can search for it on Google. You download it and you can literally tell it what you want to build, and it'll build an app for you. It'll build a web app for you. It'll build an iPhone app. It'll build an Android app. Whatever you think about. So really the only limiting factor is your own creativity and your own sense of ideas, because a lot of the effort and the work can be automated, and that allows us all to be a lot more creative. So when it was first coming out, I, like everyone else, was a little concerned that this is something that just replaces, but I don't think it does. I think it provides us a new floor that we can use it to create in an entirely new way. And it takes a lot of the toil away, and it ultimately gives us time back. And that's how I would see it, is like, how do I use this tool to get time back so that I can really focus on building my business? I can focus on serving my customers. That's the most important thing. And that, like, when I need to hire people, I can be very, very deliberate about it, instead of over hiring or hiring what I think I need when I actually probably won't, which, avoids a situation in the future where you have to let go of people. So you can just be a lot more deliberate about everything, because you have this incredible corpus of knowledge, of intelligence, and don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. Just approach it every single day. Try to ask it something that you don't think it's capable of doing. That's how I start my day. Every day, I start off with one of these tools, and I try to do something that I don't think I'm capable of doing, and that I don't think it's capable of doing. And I always learn something from it. That's the most important thing, is like, you get to decide if you learn from these tools or you let them diminish you. And it's a decision. And you have everything you need to make that decision towards learning. It's just keeping that open mind towards it.
Jack, you were the first entrepreneur that I heard talk about Bitcoin being on a balance sheet at scale. I do have to ask you, because the audience wants to know, do you think Bitcoin will eventually be the world reserve currency that replaces the dollar?
I don't think it has to replace the dollar. I think I think we want other options. I think that the dollar is going to be most challenged by the Chinese yuan and potentially a coalition of other nations. And I think it should be challenged. And I think as we understand that there is that challenge, we should have a third horse in the race. And ideally, that third horse isn't controlled by any one government. It's not controlled by a corporation like a Visa, MasterCard, or any of the banks. But it's actually controlled and owned by the people. And that's what Bitcoin represents to me, is if you think about other protocols on the internet, like what you all use every single day, HTTP, this is a web protocol. It serves everything that you see on the web. It's serving this conversation that we're having right now. Why isn't there an open protocol for money and money transmission? Nobody owns the web protocol. Every single company, from very small to very large, can build it on top of it. And we need that for money as well. There should be no situation where a bank tells you you can't bank with them. There should be no situation where a bank says that you can't process credit cards. That's why we started Square for small businesses. And there should be no reason the government does the same. We see countless examples of activists, for instance, in all over Africa, Central America, South America, even here in the United States and Canada, that have been shut down by their governments or by their banks for protesting. And that just should not be a situation. So Bitcoin routes around all of this, independent of it being a reserve currency, which I think it just has better fundamentals, because you don't have central bankers who can print money out of thin air and inflate the money that you have in your bank account or in your pocket. Every single day that goes by, your US dollar gets less and less valuable because they're printing more and more money. You can't do it with that Bitcoin. You can't do that with Bitcoin. It can only go up over time because there's a fixed amount of 21 million.
Okay, so speaking of Bitcoin, he's obviously an early advocate of Bitcoin. What technologies do you think people are kind of sleeping on right now that will potentially change the world in the next 5-10 years?
I don't know if they're sleeping on them, but I think people are hesitant with AI. Back to the first part of our conversation, like I think people are hesitant because they're afraid of it replacing their work or what they're trying to build. And I think that mindset is going to end up doing that, in fact. And if you instead see it as a foundation that we can stand on, and that it's something that enables you to do even more with less, and it gives you time back, then it's a tool like anything else. And I think that's the scary thing right now. And I think people are letting the fear keep them from experimenting with it and keep them from just trying it and having more of a closed mind. So I think it's really important with any new technology to try it for yourself. Don't trust what you read from others. Don't trust other opinions on it. Form your own opinion on your experience, and you have to dive into it and trust yourself to learn from that experience. It might be challenging, it might be frustrating, but who cares? You're going to learn no matter what, and you'll build that learning into something else that will be useful for yourself, for your business. There's a mantra within the Bitcoin circles, which is don't trust, verify. And what that really means is, like, let your experience be the guide of everything. Make your own decisions, form your own opinions, because you're going to get thousands of other ones from other people. But the one true one is what resonates with you after you experience it yourself. And these tools are available to you, and you'll be able to understand, like, if they actually enable you or how they diminish you in any way, and you can overcome that. It's a decision.
Jack, you've been an advocate, obviously, for Bitcoin, but you've talked around this topic of decentralization. And over the past 10 years, we've seen more institutions come into the space, more and more. I wonder, a few years ago, Web3 was the big talk. What are your thoughts on decentralization now, and how far away are we, or how soon will we see it come to fruition from your early talks?
Well, first, like with any of these technologies, like Web3, AI, Bitcoin, like all these things that we're talking about, Web2, like whatever it was in the past, there's always going to be this like massive hype cycle. and it's going to be easy to get into that hype without really understanding the fundamentals. So again, this goes back to like touching ground and experiencing yourself. Does this actually bring value to you, or is someone trying to sell you something that's just repackaged with the same thing? And I saw a lot of Web3 ultimately as a repackaging of the same thing. And what I mean by that is like I saw a lot of VCs who were using it as a way to rebrand something that already existed or was still somewhat centralized and wasn't really solving the problem. And it was just frustrating to see. But I realize that's with every technology. Every new technology that really comes up always has a hype cycle. So it's really up to you all and to us to like understand, like, again, does this actually give me time back? Does this actually add value to what I'm doing? Does it add value to my customers or not? And if it doesn't, it's okay to ignore it because it'll go away or it'll settle into something that does. I would say that the early internet, for those of you who were on it, it was amazing. It was like, you know, this wild, wild west of like frontier of like everything was new and everything was decentralized. There was Usenet, there was IRC, there was Gopher, there was a web. There were no centralizing forces. And then all of that disappeared in like 5 years because of a few companies building something that was convenient to people, which was like, how do I find things on the internet? And you had Alta Vista, and you had Deja News, and you had Google, and you had Facebook, and you had Twitter. These centralized the discovery mechanism of the internet. So you went to one place to find all this incredible content. But the problem was the content lived on those services as well. So you had the discovery and the creation and also the API all owned by one company. And that to me is wrong. It's wrong for the company because it puts a ton of pressure on them. And it's wrong for the customer because the company actually owns your data. And they own your identity. And you've all experienced this if you're trying to move your data to another thing or you have to re-sign up or whatnot. That's not how things should exist. So now we finally have technology to enable data portability and moving your identity around with it without a company owning it. But it's not accessible right now. It's not well designed, but it's just work. And it's an opportunity for some businesses as well. For those of you who are still looking for some opportunities. It's a way to, you know, it's something that needs to be figured out more. So I'd say we're still pretty early with it, but at the same time, there's never been more energy around it. And the thing that worries me the most is the most centralized of these services that we become more dependent upon is AI. We have 5 or 6 companies that are building very centralized services that are you go to, you sign up to, you pay for. And the CEOs of these companies can change the intelligences. They can change the algorithms. They can literally decide based on a question you have how it's going to answer. And you've seen this play out, obviously, in the press. Thankfully, we have open source models. And thankfully, we have people who are pushing that more and more. And like we have, again, a third horse in the race, which is completely open and owned by the people. But we need to desire it, we need to want it, and we need to ultimately use it to not become dependent upon 5 companies or just one company for this really important technology, which is effectively intelligence. We've seen it with social media, we've seen it with intelligence, we've seen it with a number of other things on the internet, discovery. Now we need to make sure that like all these things can be open source and they can be decentralized and really usable by any business.
A couple of years ago, I went on a huge rant about how I thought Square was going to be the new JP Morgan and replace all of banking. So talk to the audience tonight. Why do you think sentiment changed in 2022 regarding the stock, and what do you think investors got wrong that they didn't see regarding your vision for Square?
Well, I think I don't know. Our goal was never to become like a large bank because I don't think a lot of people have a great relationship with their banks. And that's just not what we wanted to be. And like our goal is ultimately not just purely to focus, like our stock price is entirely dependent upon, do people value our services? Do people value our products? And the stock price will follow that. And any lapse in our stock price is really a function of like our own growth and our own value. So I don't put it upon any analyst or outsider. Like we have to continue to grow our value to customers, and that the number of customers that value us continues to increase. So that's what we're working on. And, you know, it's tough, like building something that people want to use every day when you have a lot of new competition is not easy. And it's always a roller coaster, and you always have an ebb and flow, and nothing is guaranteed. So that's what I want to focus on. I don't care what JP Morgan is doing. I don't care about any of that other stuff. I care about, like, do we have customers that actually value what we do? Are we giving them time back? And are we growing because of that? And our stock will follow. And if we get larger than a bank that you mentioned, so be it. But like, I don't want to drive our success by like how big our company is. I want to drive our success by like how many people are we serving, and like do they want to come back to us all the time, and like do we have a healthy relationship with them rather than them hating us? Like most people hate their banks, unfortunately.
So, you know, your track record in business is obviously remarkable as far as Twitter and Square and now the transition in the Block. But I was always fascinated with Cash App. What gave you the foresight to do that acquisition? And can you kind of walk us through that deal? Because you found value in a company that, you know, now it's obvious everybody uses Cash App, but back then it wasn't as popular as it is now. So walk us through, you know, the Cash App acquisition and what made you want to push the button on that.
That was when we actually didn't acquire it. We came up with that. But I will tell you the story of how difficult it was. Like, so we started Square in 2009, and it was going well. And 2 years into it, it's a little bit hard to build something where you're not the customer. Like, we're not merchants. We're not like a seller. We're not a smart seller, but we are entrepreneurs. So we're kind of building for other entrepreneurs with Square. But we also had this itch because we could move money around now that like, what can we build something for the individual? And the idea was like, how do we make moving money as simple as communication? And Cash App started as a very simple project where I could send an email to you, just an email, and I would CC pay@square.com, and I would put the dollar amount in the subject line. I could say, here's $5, and send that email, and the money would actually move to you. It would send you an email. It would put like a link within the email to claim your $5. You would put in a debit card on a secure website, and then it would. We figured out how to hack the debit card system. We would force refund the debit, and that money would go to your debit card immediately. So that's how Cash App started. We wanted moving money to be as easy as communication. And at the time, we had a COO in the company who came from PayPal, and he said that we shouldn't be working on this thing. PayPal already exists. Like, Venmo exists. It's impossible to make this successful. And we ignored it. We were stubborn about it. And we said, no, this feels good and it feels right. So we decided to move it from being just an email thing to an app. And we called it Square Cash. And it started getting some traction little by little. And then it really took off. And the people that were using it didn't call it Square Cash. They called it Cash App. So we changed the name of the app to Cash App. And then it really took off, and suddenly it was in all this music, and it became, it became more of a cultural movement than anything else. But that wasn't an acquisition. That was all in-house. But what I'm proud of there is like everyone in the company for about 5 years, because it cost us a lot of money to run Cash App because we're running it at a loss for quite some time. Everyone in the company wanted to kill that thing for forever. And we were stubborn. We said no, and we protected it. And then eventually it found its business model and it worked. And now it's as big, if not bigger than Square. So now we have these two massive ecosystems because of that stubbornness and because we felt that, no, this feels good to us and like it feels right. And we saw resonance with people, and then we figured out how to make it work and not lose money, but actually make money.
We're going to stay on this theme of innovation because if you look at the landscape now, you see a lot of companies adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. You were somebody that was doing that very early. I wonder, when you look at the landscape of the market now, how do you feel that people are adopting this, right? Obviously, your company, we've seen MicroStrategy have a whole thesis on this. How do you feel that people are adopting this, and why aren't more companies doing this? Or do you see that happening in the future?
I think a lot of companies are doing it. Like you can consider Bitcoin to be an alternative savings account. You can consider it to be like gold, where it's shown a track record over 16 years of just going up. It has its ups and downs, and people say it's volatile, but like if you look at the long range, if you go to your stocks app and you look at all, you see every 4 years it does the same thing, and it just consistently goes up fairly predictably because it's math. And I think companies have understood that, and they're like, this is a hedge against the dollar. I know the dollars I keep in the bank are losing value. So instead of having that, why don't I have Bitcoin that's gaining in value? But to me, Bitcoin fails if it's just, another rock that goes up in value and sits there. It was originally designed to be peer-to-peer electronic cash. It was originally designed to be a third option to Visa and MasterCard and the banks. And if people aren't using it as everyday money and transactional, and instead it's just locked up in a bunch of companies and rich individuals, to me it's failed. Because it really works when it has a chance of being another currency, another reserve currency, when people can use it without having to ask permission from Visa, MasterCard, and the banks. And that it's cheap and free and open. That's the internet that I grew up on. That's the internet that I love. And that's what's missing from the internet right now. Money is not decentralized. It's not open. It's not permissionless. And it affects every single business. It affects all the businesses that you're building because you have to pay credit card fees and you have to pay fees to the bank. With Bitcoin, you don't have to do that. Anyone who has a great idea that needs to transact money for it can use this open protocol called Bitcoin to use it. So, however, it's a very Western U.S. thing to look at the number going up and down in the U.S. and the company treasuries. If you go to the global South, if you go to Central America, South America, and Africa, they're not thinking about the number going up and down. They're thinking about using it to send money back to their family. You have people from Nigeria who are working in Ghana sending money back to Nigeria and being able to use it right away. So it's more of a remittance use case, and they're actually using it as peer-to-peer electronic cash, which is what it was originally designed for. So I think the U.S. is a little bit behind in this. But both use cases are important, but we need to see it as peer-to-peer electronic cash. Like that's what unlocks everything.
For all the entrepreneurs here today, you've been great at identifying trends very early. With the exception of AI, what's a great tech trend or innovation that people are sleeping on today that they should be using to grow or scale their business?
I think AI is so overwhelming in terms of what it can touch that everything else kind of falls away. The trends I look at for my own business and for my own personal life is the trend of decentralization. How do we push that? The trend of openness and more companies and projects going open source and open protocol. That's huge for me and huge for my business. The trend of AI, obviously. The trend of regulatory fragmentation. More and more of the regulatory environment is getting deeply fragmented. So you have like states like California, which have their own regulatory environment, which is different from New York, and it's different from the U.S. government. And I think that trend continues to worsen. It makes it very hard for companies because they have to build a different thing for each one of these environments. Much less like be a global internet company, which is trying to serve the whole world. And if you're doing payments like we're doing, like it's even harder. It puts a ton of friction on building anything at all. So that fragmentation is anti-trend, but still a trend. But I think you're asking the right question. Like, it's anyone who says this is how the world is going to be in 5 years or 2 years or whatever is most likely going to be wrong. But the people who can really read the trends and just whether they be very small trends, but like look interesting, or very large trends that are more obvious, but are going in a particular direction. That's the skill to look at. So I think that can only be built by just taking in as much as possible and trying to understand it for yourself. So in this case, it's just like, what are you trying to build? What do you want to see in the world? And then what trends do you hear about or do you see that might affect that and might affect it positively or negatively? And just, go down the rabbit hole and understand it. And again, like form your own opinion and form your own experience around it, because that's going to be the most telling. You can take all these opinions that other people have, but ultimately what's going to make you a successful entrepreneur is going to be picking the excellent opinion and understanding excellence and pulling the thread on that and then putting your own thing on top of it.
So one of the things that we did this year, it was a little different, is that we took questions from the community because we wanted to give everybody an opportunity to actually ask Jack Dorsey a question. So we picked 5 questions. So the first question is a very good question. It came from George. Shout out to George, wherever you are. So he said, given your exploration of Africa and passion for blockchain, has Block identified specific ways blockchain can solve developmental challenges on the continent? If not, is Block open to collaborating with indigenous SMEs that have?
Yeah, the beautiful thing about working on protocols like Bitcoin or open source protocols is that Block doesn't have to come in and like tell entrepreneurs in Africa what to do. Like we can just work together through the protocol. And that's great because like there's an incredible set of entrepreneurs working on Bitcoin and payments within Kenya, within Nigeria, within Ghana. Those are the ones I'm most familiar with. I'm sure there's other countries that have entrepreneurs working in that space as well. But those are the ones I'm most familiar with. And we can actually collaborate at a protocol level and actually benefit one another. The most beautiful thing about working with Bitcoin for me and my company is that if we make a product on Bitcoin and it makes Bitcoin a little bit more usable or better, everyone who works on Bitcoin benefits from that. Like that's the power of protocols, is if you help the protocol get better or you add value at this end of the protocol, it rises all the boats naturally. So it's not this like just pure zero-sum competition. It's something that like, it's just this amazing collaboration that helps every single business and does it in a way that's more fair because everything is on this open protocol. So yeah, I mean, what I've been doing with those entrepreneurs is just talking with them and figuring out ways to like collaborate, and encouraging more entrepreneurs within Bitcoin itself. This is why we have the B Trust, where we gave a board 500 Bitcoin to identify folks within Africa, Central America, and South America to contribute more to Bitcoin. and they're paid in Bitcoin. And if they make Bitcoin better, Bitcoin goes up in value, and that's their equity, that's their stock, and it's working.
That was a great question. InvestFast, clap it up for that question. Yeah. So, Jack, this next one comes from Kyler Miller. Shout out to Kyler. They said, if you were starting out in your 20s with AI as a founder, how would you use it to create real impact?
I wish I was starting out in my 20s with AI. The amount of work and frustration, and I started programming when I was, 12, 13. And I'm programming every single day with these tools now. And just the amount of time it took me to just do basic stuff back then is just insane compared to what I can do right now. And I can today I can move so much faster. What would take me, one of the things I built recently was this thing called BitChat, which was an application that allowed people to communicate over Bluetooth. And before 6 months ago, if I tried to do that, it would have taken me at least a year or two to make that application. And I was able to build something that worked in a weekend. And that was enough that I can contribute it to GitHub and open source. And then I got all this attention, all these other contributors that are now making it better every single day. And a lot of them with these AI tools. It did require some manual coding, but I could focus on the really interesting parts for the manual coding, and all the other stuff that is boring or just is frustrating or just takes a bunch of research and time, the AI could take that. And it just really opened the door for me in terms of what one person is capable of. And all the design for that app and all the code for that app in that one weekend was written by these tools. And I could really focus on saying, this is great, this sucks, change this doesn't work. And it did it. And then where it needed help, I can go in the code and look and understand it. So I was able to build something more or less in a weekend that got into the top 50 of the US App Store, which was unheard of and impossible before. I think the name also helped a lot with that, but the functionality and the interest was there. But being able to build something and test it and see it and feel it immediately myself without a whole big team was incredible. And that allowed me to should I do more work on this or should I just kill it? Because actually the idea sucks. That's incredible for any entrepreneur, because now you can use these tools. Any idea you have, you can just express it to these tools that can build it for you. And then you can determine this is cool, this resonates, or no, I'm gonna go move on to the next thing. That was months before, or in some cases years before. And now the cost is almost zero to do that same thing and just cycle through a bunch of your wild ideas to get to something that really works.
From Jeremiah, how should retail investors be thinking about leveraging Bitcoin and stablecoins for building and preserving wealth for their families for the next 400 years?
I can't speak to stablecoins because, again, it started with different principles. These are companies building these stablecoins, and gold is not owned by a company. It's found, and Bitcoin is not owned by one company. It's found. Anyone can buy it. Anyone can sell it, and you can own it. So, if you're interested in it, I wouldn't recommend just going out and buying it. I would recommend doing some research and understanding it and asking questions. And then when you've done a little bit of that and you feel interesting, go to one of the exchanges like Cash App or Coinbase or whatever and buy a little bit. And you can buy a little bit every week or every month and see how it does over time. And then if you really understand the fundamentals of it and you believe in it, then you can buy more, you can build upon it. But that's true of any investment. Like, don't ever invest in something that you don't really understand and really love. Like, if you're thinking about a stock investment, I think it has to start with like a love for the brand and like a love for what they're doing, and a belief in them, because that's really what all the stock market is. It's like that price is just a belief in future growth, and it's purely emotional. There's some fundamentals, of course, but like all the valuations you see are 19, 20, 25, even 100x what their actual revenue is. That's all emotional belief. And just keep that in mind as you invest in anything. It's like, it's people believing that this is valuable, and that belief increases the value of the thing. And when people don't believe it, they sell it. And that's why the value goes down. So that's really the fundamental of it. And to me, like, Bitcoin it's based by math. It's not emotions. It's mathematics. So it's a lot more sure, just like, gold is a rock. It's pretty solid and it's going to be there. As long as people value that rock and the scarcity of that rock, then it's going to have some value.
Another question from the audience. Inquiring minds want to know, I guess. What were you and Jay-Z discussing in that photo when you two were walking in the Hamptons that day?
Shout the hole. Inquiring minds.
I don't know. It feels like there's been a bunch of photos, but I don't know. We talk about everything. I think Jay has so much wisdom, and I think he's a Buddha to me. And like, I just learn from him every single conversation, and he's just one of those teachers. And there's that he always reminds me, like, we have a decision to make every single experience we take on. Every single mistake we make, every single thing we try to build, every person we come across or have a conversation with, we can decide that they are trying to teach us something. Like, this mistake I just made is trying to teach me something. This experience I'm about to have is trying to teach me something. This person I'm talking to is trying to teach me something. What is it? And asking that question allows you to have mentors everywhere. You don't need to just find your mentor. Every single experience you have, every single person you meet can be a mentor if you change your mindset and you decide, like, what is this thing trying to teach me? Like, what is this person it's got to be something. And the only regrets I have in life is when I have an experience or when I make a mistake or when I have a person in front of me and I don't decide to learn from them. Because all of them are trying to teach something, and those are lessons I want to have. But life moves so fast, and we're so busy that we often forget that. And my whole goal is just to, like, with everything I experience, like, what is this trying to teach me? What is this showing me or trying to show me? And it's my decision whether to see it or not.
Chap, we have one here from Rob Hunter, and I think this is going to resonate with pretty much everyone in here that's an entrepreneur in business. They ask, Jack, Square and Cash App thrive by earning the trust through accessibility and transparency, while traditional banks fell short. For entrepreneurs, how do we gain trust of our audience so we can have the same level of efficiency?
Yeah. But you have to break down that word. Like, what does that mean, trust? Like, how do you earn trust? To me, my answer to that question is, like, trust comes from transparency, like being open. The more open a thing is, the more you can trust it. It comes from being reliable. It comes from, like, if someone says they're going to do something, they actually do it. It comes from, for our business, like, it's more reliability, but just being up all the time. But like, those are just, like, three things that you break down trust, and then it becomes easy. So, like, how do we become trusted by our customers? We increase transparency. We increase reliability. You know, we make sure that we do what we say. We follow through with our claims and the expectations that people have on us. So then every meeting I have about what we're doing with Cash App per Square, how are we increasing reliability? How are we increasing transparency? How are we increasing, you know, making sure that we're doing what we're saying we're doing? And that's much easier to increase and to focus on than say, like, let's increase trust, right? Let's be more trusted. No, you got to break it down. Why do people trust you and why don't they trust you? And then that's the thing that you can like really lean into and build into. And it's much easier for you and your teams to like understand it, make it more something that people can actually like act upon instead of this abstract concept.
Well, Jack, not only have you been gracious with your time, but the Square team has been phenomenal. You guys are amazing. If Square's in the house, you guys should
Tell the Block team.
Block. Sorry.
They're a great team.
Block. Formerly known as Square. But we heard that, you know, one of the keys is always to over-deliver. So you guys chose InvestFest to announce a new grant program for entrepreneurs. So can you tell us about the initiative? From my understanding, it's a pilot program that's going to award $10,000 to 4 sellers on the platform, especially in underbanked areas, and include a full year of support, CPA guidance, therapy sessions, nonprofit connections. So what inspired?
Clap it up for that.
I think it's more than that. I don't think it's just 10,000. I think it's 20 to 30,000. In capital to 2 to 3 like more growth-minded sellers in the Sun Belt. So as you said, like it's not just the money, it's support, and it goes back to like making sure that like we're not just we're not just money, but like we're educating and we're supporting as well. And I think that's important, especially as you all build your business too. Like you're not just delivering a product. Ideally, you're also delivering some education around how to use it and how to use it best. And that's where a lot of product is lacking these days and forever. It doesn't come with a lot of education, doesn't come with a lot of support. And, you know, we're in the lending business. We lend out billions of dollars every year to sellers and individuals. And if you don't come at it with education, then it's easy to get into really, you know, some bad situations where people just don't know what to do with the money, and you can overwhelm them, and they can get into very bad situations that spiral without, you know, just an understanding of some general financial health and good practices.
Well, we want to thank you. Thank you
so much, Jack.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
And once again, Jack can't see y'all, but make some noise for Jack so he can hear you guys.
Well,
I love that.
I feel the energy.
Make some more noise for Jack, please.
The stage is amazing, and I feel it. So thank you all. I appreciate you.
Jack, thank you. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Legendary insight,
Amazing.
legendary conversation.
Yeah, man.
I want to thank the good folks at Block and Jack Dorsey for his time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once in a lifetime generational entrepreneur, somebody with an extremely
sure.
impressive resume from Twitter to Cash App to Block to Square. You know, did a lot.
BitChat. That's innovative.
I'm still having conversations about BitChat.
Mm-hmm.
2 days. 2 days.
Hello.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sir.
People ask who were at InvestFest. We run into them. They're like, "What was one of the craziest takeaways?" I'm like, the fact that he's using AI every day to try to prove it to do something that he thought he couldn't. So every day he's thinking of something to say, I know it can't do that. Let's see. And every day it doesn't. So he's challenging himself to rethink, to say, all right, let me try to challenge it to see if it can solve that problem. And every time it's done it.
Yeah.
That's just, I'm like, I got to do that. I got to add that to the repertoire.
And once again, block out the noise. For anyone who's like, why is there not anything in his room? That should tell you the seriousness. If Jack is still building with his net worth, it's not time to play. I'm going to keep saying this every week until you understand it. The top entrepreneurs and builders are building faster than ever, like they did in 2010, 11, 12, and 13. Even Zuckerberg going in there and having a fumble with the glasses, and I even love seeing him have to readjust on stage and relaunch and innovate product and excitement. Then now he's out campaigning UFC. Everyone who runs the world is working harder than ever, yet they want to deploy stuff in media to make you think that everything's going to be okay. We are living in a different time. Invest your capital. To those you like, hey, I don't want to invest all of my money and hold it for 5 years. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. The value of the dollar keeps dropping every month at a precipitous rate. There's nowhere inflation keeps going. I'm going to keep screaming this. Everyone I know who is rich is still worried. So
you do what spot on. When you're right, man. Invest your capital. You're right, man. Like, I don't see any slowdown in any of these CEOs. They're trying to figure out the next thing, or if they can't figure out the next thing, how do we partner with the people that are doing the next thing?
For sure.
If we've learned anything over the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's happening. Like, it's happening.
Rashad, I ask you the same thing. Have you met anybody that you respect in business? Are they slowing down?
No, sir. No, sir.
I said, Shawty auditioning for Bond. I said, shit. John Davis, you got the 19 Pro Max. Gotcha.
Next iteration.
Everyone's working hard. Go
slow
for
it. Down. No slow down.
Yeah, and they're acquiring things right under your nose.
Yep.
Go look what Paramount just purchased today.
Yep. Nike, I know you're trying to reimagine the brand. You got to get some AI something. Please.
Something.
Immediately.
All gas, no brakes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's been real. Do remember, we got Blackout, 10 o'clock on Wednesday. We got Earn Your Leisure, 6 o'clock.
We're done? I miss y'all. Come on, man.
We're working on the power efficiency there.
I got you.
Had a real blackout.
The real. Had about 5 of them. We working on it.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Y'all be good to each other. Pray over each other. Wish somebody a happy birthday. Happy birthday, everybody that has one this week. Love is love. Text somebody, call somebody. You never know what one conversation can do, man. Love is love. We appreciate y'all wholeheartedly. While we're on this mission, we pray for your traveling mercies, man. Thank you so much. My brother Ian, love is love, my guy. What you got? Let's send us off.
Happy belated birthday to Ty's daughter, Eniola. I love you so much, Ty. I'm proud of you. Seeing you develop as a father, how you lead, man. I love you dearly. Y'all have an amazing week. Invest your money. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be rich. Get the book. You deserve to be wealthy. You deserve to be free. But if you don't, kindly, you deserve to be broke. And I don't want you to be broke. So invest that capital. Okay.
We gonna talk about the Diddy trial. Blackout.
I knew you was. I was thinking.
Rashad.
I knew it,
Troy,
bro.
It wasn't me. Troy, it wasn't me.
It wasn't. I knew it. You have to say in my mind. I'm like, he about to say the Diddy joint.
No, we gotta talk about that. A lot to unpack.
He wasn't gonna let it happen.
There's some things about Charlie Kirk we need to talk about too. But
you know what, y'all? We'll see y'all. Y'all be
Candace Owens called me. No, I'm joking.
Man. Bonsoir.
Je m'appelle. No, we just do the show with him. We don't really know him like that.